to you today from the Universal Design Demonstration House in New Bristow, Virginia. And with me to tell us about the concepts behind it is Leon Harper, who chairs the Greater Prince William County Coalition for Universal Design. Mr. Harper also runs a housing consulting business, Leon Harper and Associates Incorporated, and has been promoting the idea of universal design nationwide for some 25 years. Mr. Harper, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
First and foremost, what is universal design?
Universal design is the design of environments and products to accommodate people of all ages, sizes, and abilities to the greatest extent possible without having to make special adaptations.
When was the concept initially invented to begin with?
I think Ron Mace, coined the phrase in about 1989 while he was with Center for Universal Design, and I became familiar with it in about 1990, 91 while working with ARP as a housing manager.
There have certainly been lots of innovations in the past that make life more livable and your home more livable, but for older people and people with disabilities, what particular innovations has Universal Design come up with?
I think they've gone beyond the kinds of things that calls for codes and calls for segmenting people and stigmatizing them. For instance, adaptable housing and accessible housing are designed to accommodate a certain market and targeted people. But while it's targeting those people, it also segregates them and separates them from the rest of the market. Universal design has a tendency to bring people together in the same community and allow them to live and operate in the community with everyone else without any stigma, without being separated, and without being looked at as something different.
Do you think that's why, with universal design having been invented, if you will, so long ago, it hasn't come to fruition until now?
That's one reason, because the way the media has really projected universal design, they've thrown it in with everything else like adaptable environment, accessible environment, and so on. And people are confused. They think when the average consumer is not aware of it, and they think of it as, oh, this is another code word for disability and for accessibility. And we have a job to do to try to help educate people about the difference of universal design. Universal design casts a bigger net across all of these things and encompasses all of them so that people of all ages, sizes, and ability, regardless of their condition, can be accommodated in a house with universal design.
But Leon, do you think that aging in place is always something that should be encouraged, or are there some instances where it's probably not a great idea?
At certain points, most people would need to move into a supportive environment. But at the same time, this universal design type features will enable a person to remain in a setting like this and be supported and have access in and out of the homes to supportive systems and that they need. They can enter the house and come in and provide the services that they need. Caregivers can do the same thing.
Talking about that, one of the most interesting things that I have seen is in assisted livings, in retirement homes and nursing homes, they're actually installing universal design. So if you don't want to age in place in your own home, when you move into a new place, a lot of times they're already there, which is great. But my question would be, you talk about universal design sort of crossing all spans of ages and culture and so on and so forth. But I don't know, if I got married and got a starter home and I was 30, is that something I should look at, or should I actually do it in my 50s, or maybe what may be considered my last home in my 70s? It seems a little odd to do it so early.
Our ultimate goal is to let people start at the level you're talking about, because this applies to people with babies, people that are pregnant. Kids have the same problem getting in and out of tubs and falling and having accidents. High school kids have accidents when they get hurt playing football or basketball. They need to be able to use the resources, the toilet, the bathroom, get in and out of it on crutches and things like that. And even friends that want to visit you that have disabilities will be able to enter your house and come in and visit with you, your parents, or you can go visit your parents if you happen to be disabled or something like that.
But these are some pretty significant changes, and we'll show that as our program progresses today. From a cost-effective standpoint, is it cost-effective or prohibitive for a younger family to do it when they may not necessarily need it?
It depends. If you do it when you're building the house, initially, it's very inexpensive. In fact, a house like this, I would estimate on average it would cost from 1% to 2% of the cost of the house to do this. The first time you do it, like now, and you haven't been accustomed to using these kind of features as a builder, it might cost you a little more to begin with. But as you evolve into it, you will find that to include these features in a new home, 1% to 2%, If you want to, and the higher the cost of the house, the less the percentage of the cost of add-on. But if you go into a lower cost house, the percentage goes up. Like for a $600,000 house, it might be 1% or less. But for a $100,000 house, it might be 4, 5, or 7% of the house to cost.
You know, Leon, as a gerontologist, I was extremely excited to read in the research that I was doing that Virginia actually has a tax credit that's associated with making your home more accessible. Talk to me about that, and then also talk to me about why other states have not endorsed that.
Well, one thing, the beauty of what's happening in Virginia is the tax credit is designed not just for disabled people, but for anyone that want to include these features in their home. They get a tax credit for it. A young person coming in including these features, they get a tax credit. And what we're trying to do is to work to make sure that it's not just something that's perceived as for disabled people. That's why we like the idea that they call livable homes. And livable homes is defined as the kinds of features that we have here. And if a person wanted to incorporate these features in their home, they can do it and get a tax credit for it up to a maximum amount. And they can even extend it over a 5-year period. As I saw the bill going in now, say for instance, if you wanted to get 20% or 50% of the cost, you can $500 this year, and over the next 4 years, you can collect $500 for the kind of thing that you did. So that's very encouraging because it takes it out, it takes the stigma out of it. You don't have to be disabled or handicapped to do it. You can be a young couple that understands the nature of what we're talking about, and you make that investment in your future, and you also you benefit from it.
I know that falls are a tremendous problem among mature adults in particular, 60s, 70s, 80s years old, and the bathroom is usually a place where this happens most often. Is that the first place you should start if you have a home that you want to create universally designed?
Bathroom, stairs, and the kitchen. You have to look at all three of them. The bathroom is probably the most dangerous because of slippery floors, slippery tubs, no handrails, and no way to really get in and out of the tub without slipping, especially if it's soapy and stuff like that. And small doors that makes it difficult for you to get in and out if you do fall. Those are the kind of things. And in the kitchen, people get hurt by trying to reach too high for high cabinets. Believe it or not, some people hurt themselves by trying to reach too low to get something, a pot, and they get dizzy and they fall, and not being able to turn the hot water on and off because of arthritis and things like that. And the stairs are very dangerous because most stairs only have one handrail on one side, and people trying to go up and down those stairs get into trouble because most people have a strong arm and a weak arm, and they try to carry the groceries up or down with the strong arm and try to figure out how to balance themselves coming down. So we recommend handrails on both sides of the stairs to make it safer.
That's like me. I try to carry every single thing in my car in the house at one time, so I can imagine that I'll probably be a good candidate for this. Talking about that, though, we talked a little bit about aging in place, and that people like to stay in their homes, in particular points, the home that they grew up in. With that being said, a lot of homes now are going to be an older home that isn't ADA accessible or isn't universally designed. Can we talk a little bit about the cost between, do I go buy a home that has all this beautiful universally designed product in it, or do I actually modify my home that I'm currently in? Which makes better sense?
First of all, the best deal is to buy a house new, build a house new with these features in it, because the cost is affordable. But when you try to modify an existing home, the cost is prohibitive. We're talking about now, instead of 1 or 2%, we're talking about 20 to 30% of the cost of the home to modify an existing home. And even that, a lot of it can't be done because you can't widen hallways and do a lot of things that we talk about in a universal design house in a modified home. But there are lots of things you can do to make it easier. We talk about things like adding handrails on both sides of the steps, extending the handrail beyond the step, lowering the cabinets, having pull-out shelves so that you don't have to bend down so low to look. You bring the stuff to you. Put it in lever handles. Put it in rocker light switches. Raising the outlets so that you can reach them without having to bend down and around. Some of the smaller, inexpensive things you can do to make your home more livable if you're modifying it. But we recommend doing it beforehand because the cost of it is almost prohibitive. But we know that A lot of the people that come through this house are not going to run off and buy a new house. They're going to see some features in here that they really want to incorporate into their own home. So we encourage people to make those changes and to use universal design features to make those changes. And one of the next efforts that we're thinking about now is how do we help those people make those changes?
Sure. So Leon, I want to thank you so much for making such a huge difference in the field of aging through the dedication of your career thus far.
It's been fun. I'm still having fun.